In this video, we will be going through the step-by-step procedures on how to carry out titration. Firstly, ensure that you have all the equipment you need for this experiment in your basket, as seen in the first video of this series. Take the buret and the pipette from the side bench and clamp it onto your retort stand. Once everything is in place, proceed to wear your gloves and goggles. Refer to your worksheet and take note of where the acid and alkali goes. For this experiment, we will use the pipette for the acid and the buret for the alkali. Next, remove your pipette from the stand and wash the insides of the pipette with distilled water. This is done to clean the pipette from any debris. You will only need to fill the pipette a third of the way through for this step. Gently close both ends with your gloved hands and tilt the pipette. Wash the bulb of the pipette. Now dispose the water into the sink. Repeat this washing process with the acid. Once done, it is now time to fill the pipette with acid. Transfer 25 ml of the acid into the pipette using the pipette filler. Next, transfer the 25 ml of acid into the conical flask. Next step will require you to add the indicator if needed. Be sure to add 2 to 3 drops. Next step involves washing of the buret. It encompasses the same steps as the washing of the pipette. Remove the buret from the stand and use the distilled water bottle and fill the buret a third of the way through. Again, cover both ends with your gloved hands and wash the insides. Be sure to rinse the tap as well. Now repeat these steps with the alkali. Once done, return the buret to its stand. Now it's time to fill the buret for titration. Pour some alkali into a beaker. Approximately 70 to 100 ml will be sufficient. This time, fill up the buret until the 0 ml mark at the top. You may want to place the entire setup on your chair to avoid parallax error when filling up the buret. Be sure to get rid of any air bubble in the tap of the buret. As mentioned in earlier videos, you can do so by opening the tap and allowing the alkali to flow through. Be sure to place a beaker under the tap so that the alkali does not spill onto the table or chair. Once completed, place the entire setup back onto the table. Be sure to remove the filter funnel before titration. The presence of the filter funnel on the buret may cause inaccurate readings. A drop or two could trickle from the funnel into the buret. In titration, a drop or two could mean the difference between a successful and a failed titration. You should be ready to begin titrating now. Now place the flask underneath the tap of the buret. Remember to place the white towel underneath the flask. This will help you get a better assessment of the color of the solution in the flask. You are now ready to begin your first trial. The objective of this trial is to get a rough estimate of the endpoint. Open the tap of the buret and let the solution trickle through into the conical flask. A rate of 2 drops from the buret per second is a good estimate to be working with. Once the solution changes color, indicating the endpoint has been reached, turn off the tap of the buret. Note down the rough reading in your buret onto your worksheet. That is the end of your first trial. Once ready, you may begin your second trial. You may need to fill the buret up to the 0 ml marking again. Feel free to skip this step if you feel that there is enough solution in the buret for a second titration. Either way, note down the initial volume in the buret. Now that you have a rough reading for the endpoint, release all the liquid until you are 1 or 2 ml away from your endpoint. Afterwards, it is crucial that you release the liquid drop-wise from the buret. Remember, for your second trial, you are aiming for accuracy. Once you reach the endpoint, note down the reading again. Repeat the titration steps until you have two readings that are 0.1 ml away from one another. In total, you should have at least 3 titration readings. Proceed to show your readings to your teacher before dismantling your setup. Once done, wash all your glasswares with tap water and return everything to its place.